I'm Anand Gabor. I serve as the District of Columbia Region's inaugural chairperson, and I'm so glad, on behalf of the Armenian Bar Association, to welcome you to this, the 20 Under 40 Rising Star Awardee Luncheon. So, along with fellow 20 Under 40 committee members, Alvin Tahakian is right here, and Alan Harchunyan,
right here,
in front as well. I also want to note that we were completely and totally blown away by the quality of the candidates who came forth this year. The magnitude of your professional and community accomplishments is, I think, without compare to prior awardee groups, and Alan and I were in the last one. One this year, we're happy we put it in 2019. That was great for us. But I also want to recognize one of our fine VIPs, Mr. Robert Abetisyan, who's the permanent representative to the Office of Artsakh in the United States. Thank you. So I am glad that this is the most fun and celebratory event of the Armenian Bar's 33rd annual meeting weekend. But before we get to the main event, the actual awards, I want to take a moment to introduce you to the inimitable Lucy Larpetian, who is the chair of the Board of Governors of the Armenian Bar Association, as well as the principal assistant city attorney for the city of Glendale, California. Hold applause just a moment. I've never said a little bit more. It's one of my final opportunities to do so. So almost immediately after her election to the chairship in September of 2020, an auspicious time, Armenian Artsakh were thrust into a legal war by Azerbaijani and Turkish aggression. This immediately transformed her chairship from one that was a more collegial and community-building organization with typical bar functions to one that essentially was utilizing every single tool at its disposal to provide comfort to our ethnic brothers and sisters in Armenian Artsakh, but also to provide accountability to the aggressors for the innumerable amounts of war crimes and atrocities that we so unfortunately observed. So Lucy was up to the challenge with aplomb, vision, as well as grace. She entered chairship with the organization having expanded a new chapter, this one, engaging in perhaps an unprecedented amount of pro bono and issue advocacy work. Many who worked on these issues. And also, she leaves her chairship with the organization in perhaps its strongest fiscal footing in its history, as well as these very impressive advocacy accomplishments. Now, I will invite Lucy Thank you for your leadership.
I should come to DC more often. The first thing I want to do is acknowledge our sponsors. And I say that because we were having sort of a private conversation last night, and Michael Hartman, in the early hours of last night, without telling us anything, made a $5,000 donation online. And thank you, Michael, for that. I didn't see him. Where is he? So, okay. Also want to acknowledge Clayton, Colantino Highsmith, and Watley Devon Law Firm, Harry DeGrand and Armin Hovenessian, Surin Israeli, Gerard Kasabian, Mesro Kudabian, Nasiman, Rafi Serafian, Strong, Harley Payam, and as sponsors of this evening. I do want to address my comments to the plus ones in the room, the family members, the moms, the dads, the sisters, brothers, the significant others, the partners, everyone who is here to support the honorees. And I'm going to liken it to this. My son, who is 8 years old, when he was 3, when he had just started preschool, almost on a daily basis, I would hear from his preschool teacher that he doesn't sit through stuff, doesn't listen to story time, won't sit through the practice for the Hantes, and he was always on the other side of the room doing something a little bit more interesting to him. But when the Hantes finally came and they put my son at the end so that, with the TA, so that he made a run for it, and he spotted me in the room. I had my phone up, and the music started, and right on cue, my son went, yes, hi, and at that very moment, I felt such great joy and such incredible pride. And it is that feeling that I want to bring out in each of you today. Because as we grow up, those contests don't happen anymore, and there are very few opportunities where we have the ability to share with our family as adults those really cherished moments of pride and joy. And as the chair of this association for the last 2 years, I can tell you I have had those feelings about the people in this room 20 times over, and I plan to actually share with each of you all of those, but for purposes of today, I will talk about 2 of those activities. And they have to do with these initiatives that we've taken on. One is the report writing mission that we took on, and that was countless hours went in by the volunteers to draft and submit over 15 reports that we submitted to various UN bodies. And having done so, we were invited this last term for the CERD review to participate in the NGO hearing. I asked Alex Bedrosian to speak for the Armenian Bar Association, and Alex did a splendid job of representing the Armenian Bar Association. And at one point, when it was the Q&A time, and they stopped and were asking questions. By the way, you could all start eating. I couldn't speak to that. When they stopped and they asked a question, and the question was, are there any Armenians left in Azerbaijan proper? And the room went silent, and all of a sudden, Alex's camera lit up, his mic unmuted, and Alex responded, Madam Chair, Madam Special Rapporteur, as you will recall in your 2019 report, this committee noted that if in Azerbaijan there are Armenians, they no longer self-identify for fear of persecution. And I don't know where Alex pulled that answer, why he had that citation, but he did. And at that moment, as the chair of this association, I was so proud that Alex was the one representing us at that meeting. So thank you. The other example I have for you is the Armenian Bar was in Armenia And we were meeting with a series of ministers, and we were asked to meet with the Ministry of Justice. And as we were sitting there at the ministry, they gave us the most warmest of welcomes. They had a proposition for the Armenian Bar Association. They asked if the Armenian Bar would be a founding member of a new international arbitration center for the region. Now, if you're familiar with the work, then you will know that Armenia has tried time and again, and these arbitration centers have started and closed without much success. Asking the Armenian Bar to put its name on the line was a really heavy lift, and it wasn't an easy thing for us to be presented with at that point. If the center failed, we probably could not approach that for the next 10 plus years. I looked down the hall, down this very long table of Armenian Bar members, and I wasn't sure what our answer was going to be. Then I brought my gaze back, and I saw Levon Golendukan sitting in front of me. Where are you, Levon? And Levon smiled just like he did. And when he did that, I knew we were about to board the Levon train. Levon practices in international arbitration, and he couldn't have been. There couldn't have been a better person to be sitting at that room, to be representing the Armenian Bar. And over the course of the last 4+ months, Levon, with a very small, diligent team, has been negotiating the terms of that charter, and I'm happy to say that in the coming months, that will be finalized, and there will hopefully be a very successful international regional arbitration center in Armenia. That does wonders for the legal system, but it does more for Armenia's economy, and that is how an individual lawyer through the Armenian Bar Association impacts such positive change for a people. And that's, I think, what we do at the Armenian Bar Association. I took a little extra time, but that's okay. And I have to say that both Alan and Grant did a tremendous job in establishing the Young Lawyers Committee. Giselle and Vakti have taken over as the co-chairs, and they too are doing tremendous work. So when I say that I feel a great sense of pride for the work of the young lawyers represented here, it's important to me to make sure that your families know how you are making this change. And when you posted this information on our Facebook page, Zaven, where are you, Zaven? Zaven's mother shared the post, and she said, "My son is in the bottom right." And I knew that Zaven's mom got it. She had that moment that I had had. But I know for all of you, you have not shared with your families exactly the amount of work that you have put into the Armenian Bar Association. And I would encourage each of you to call your moms and give her your version of yes, hi, yes, hi, yes.
I don't know how I followed that. But that's why she's the chair. So now we turn to the main event for this luncheon, the 20 Under 40 Rising Stars Awards. As I mentioned, the awards this year were remarkably competitive. I think more than double the amount of available awards. We had dozens of people applying, lots of people. Yeah, and it required a lot of difficult decisions. Dozens of worthy candidates were not selected. This was really not an easy process. For those of you who are recipients, sitting here with you today in this room, you represent our future, our organization's future. From my observation, we're at a generational transition point where those who started and founded the Armenian Bar Association are starting to hand the baton over to the next generation. So this is really an auspicious moment for us as a community. That as we set our rising stars today, similar to Lucy, I do want to recognize the sacrifice, the love, and the care from our awardees' parents, families, mentors, as well as colleagues who brought them to this day of acknowledgement and recognition. So if you are a parent, family member, mentor, or colleague, I don't need to stand, but I would ask you to just raise your hand a little bit in the air so we can acknowledge our the way that it's going to work today is that I will present the first 5 awardees. My friend Alan Armenian will do the next 5, and then Talia Sahajian here will complete the group, and then also acknowledge those who are not physically able to be with us in the room today. The awardees, I ask that you come up on this side of the dais. When your name is announced, Nishan here will take a nice picture. Then you'll have a few minutes of floor time, little free speech zone, and then exit the dais this way. And then also, very importantly, as you know, these are glass awards. There's boxes, really nice ones with soft cushioning, around the right side of the dais at the end of the table. So do try to remember to pick one up so you can transport your report back to 5 shirts. Right, so to kick us off, hailing from New Jersey, our first recipient is Janine Balekjian. I'm not quite ready yet.
Come sit here.
We'll move over here, but I have a lot more reading to do. She's a Yale Law School and Columbia University graduate. She's an attorney advisor at the United States Department of Justice's Office of Legal Counsel. So what does that mean? She's one of a handful of attorneys who advise the President of the United States and the executive branch agency heads on the legality of policy concepts, expressions of presidential commander-in-chief and foreign relations authority, and like the many of which the policies that are considered in the executive branch, the public will never actually know about them. The courts will never review them. And the work that she does really is the quintessence of what the Armenian Bar Association stands for, which is to reinforce the rule of law. She, before OLC, clerk for United States District Judge Timothy J. Kelly on the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, as well as U.S. Circuit Judge Raymond J. Lohier, Jr. on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. And on top of that, she was a Fulbright scholar in Ukraine. And she is slated to be a mentor in our inaugural DC Region Chapter 2023 mentorship program. Janine Balekjian.
Sorry for jumping the gun and coming up here too early, but thank you for that overly kind introduction. Adam makes my job sound much cooler than it is. He hit all of the That being said, I am so honored to be here. This has been a great community, especially the DC chapter that Adam has helped form, and it's just really been a pleasure getting to know all of the fascinating Armenian lawyers in town and all of the incredibly interesting places you work. And I will say that I am very proud of the work that I do for criminal justice. Upholding the rule of law means a lot to me. That's what makes us a nation of laws and not of men. And so I am honored to be able to serve the public in that capacity. Thank you so
Our second awardee, Sean Boyajian. He is a partner in the infrastructure group at Nassim LLP in Washington, D.C., where he advises public agencies on a range of innovative methods to procure and deliver the nation's largest and most complex infrastructure projects. This is especially relevant now because of the enactment of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act just last November 2021. He is an extremely busy person. So he's a leading expert on policy issues concerning infrastructure strategy, having served as a senior counsel in the United States Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works, and on a similar committee in the U.S. House of Representatives. He leads an awesome team on a high-profile pro bono matter for the bar, and he also, his firm hosted the first in-person event that our fledgling chapter ever hosted in June. I want to give it a round of applause. I'll also say it was the very first time Yerevan Cafe engaged in catering services, the first of many to come in the city. So Sean is a pragmatic and humble guy, and not to be outdone by his service for the bar, he even helped found the Congressional Armenian Staff Association, CASA for short, but I think that's because Dun would have been a harder alternative. He's a graduate of Catholic University of America's Columbus School of Law and Patrick Henry College. Sean Boyajian.
Wow, they're so photogenic.
Thank you so much. I lost my voice this week. I'm not going to necessarily attribute that to the fact that I'm a Phillies fan. It has something to do with it. It's really a true honor to be here and to be recognized with this award with such an incredible group of honorees. I particularly want to thank Lucy for your leadership and for providing a platform and opportunity for Armenian attorneys across the country to engage in the kind of support that I think is so critical in these years especially. It's really been an honor to be able to support our brothers and sisters in Armenia and Artsakh on some of the pro bono matters that you discussed. This is truly a wonderful opportunity. I also want to thank my wife. I know, Lucy, you recognize, and Norm, you recognize the fact that we don't do this in a vacuum. She's obviously a senior executive at a very large NGO doing work that really puts the stuff that I'm doing, I think, in a different light. But I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that I'm doing either for the bar or in my professional capacity without your support. So I wanted to thank you for that. And lastly, I feel myself getting a call. I don't know if that's him or not, but I want to recognize my mentor and partner at the Nassim Law Firm, Armenian, who's been a true advocate for me. Really helped to push me to get involved in a more active role in the Armenian Bar Association, and is responsible for that incredibly embarrassing full-page advertising.
Our next awardee is Ani Asenya. Hailing from New York, she's an associate at the law firm of King and Spalding in its DC office in the Environmental Health and Safety Practice Group. Boy, is that a busy practice group nowadays. If you've been paying attention, there's a lot of policy shifts in environmental law over the past few years, and she's been at the forefront of a lot of it. She's committed her career to the subject matter, which at least in my appraisal is one of the richest and most complex that one can do. She handles a wide range of matters, and notwithstanding the rigors of firm life, she maintains a steady pro bono portfolio and has been an active member of the American Bar Association. She's an executive committee member for the DC Region chapter. She organized our Library of Congress tour last month. She's a Penn State law grad, where she was an editor on the Law Review, as well as a Fordham University graduate. She also just freely gives over time as a committed mentor, not just to Armenian people, but to Penn State law students, one else, who are interested in environmental and energy law careers. Ani Asenya. You have to get that picture.
Hi, thank you. I thought we were going alphabetically, so this caught me off guard. First of all, I'm very honored to be among such wonderful and smart people. Very humbled to be in this group. I first want to thank my family, who is taking up half that table over there. They have been a huge part of my career and my growth, and I cannot thank them enough. But I also want to thank the Armenian Bar Association for your contributions to that. I think a lot of us in this room are first-generation Americans, first-generation college students, first-generation law students. I am, and navigating this legal profession is hard enough without having anyone in your immediate circle to help you with it. So my immediate circle became the Armenian Bar Association. I got a mentor when I was in law school who was doing environmental work. And I'm really grateful and excited to be able to pay forward everything that I've gained from this community to the next generation. So thank you very much.
Our next awardee, hailing from Virginia, is Olivia Jerkin. She is a staff attorney at the Bureau of Consumer Protection at what I would say the all-powerful Federal Trade Commission in the District of Columbia. She investigates unfair, deceptive, and fraudulent business practices for the FTC. So what that means in normal parlance is that she sits across the table from CEOs and C-suite officials. Essentially makes them sweat for that behavior. But before joining the FTC, she was an assistant attorney general in the District of Columbia here, where she initiated enforcement actions to preserve affordable housing and to hold deadbeat landlords accountable. Of course, her bio describes us as neglectful landlords, so it's a very generous person. But she began her career as a Sidney Austin and KPMG fellow at legal counsel for the elderly in DC, where during her 2-year fellowship, she represented low-income seniors in eviction and other housing matters. She clerked for U.S. District Judge Alvin W. Thompson at the U.S. District Court for the District of Connecticut, and she also was on the Executive Committee of the DC Region chapter. The Georgetown University Law Center and University of Virginia grad, Olivia Jerkin.
so much, Anna, for a very, very generous introduction. And thank you so much to the Armenian Bar Association for, first of all, picking the District of Columbia as your locale for this conference. I never thought that so many people would travel from California just to be here, but I'm so glad that you all did. So thank you all for being here today. I'd also like to thank my really good friend and classmate, Gina Dolgarian, who's not here today, but she gave me 2 communities. The first one was when she set up the First Armenian Law Students Association at Georgetown Law, where she collected all 7 Armenians. And we put on some big events, big enough that the Israeli embassy called up our dean to complain about us. And the second community she gave me was the Armenian Bar Association. I reached out to Dina shortly after the 2020 war, asking her if I could put my legal skills to use to help in any way that I could, and she connected me to Lucy and Armin and Alicia. So thank you to you both for welcoming me so warmly. And then also connecting you with Dina Gabor and my wonderful other colleagues on the Armenian Bar Association DC chapter, who are all here being awarded prizes today as well. And finally, I'd like to thank my wonderful family who is filming everything. Thank you so much. Regina Georgian and my sister, Patricia Georgian, who is not only my sister, but also my colleague and one of my mentors, I think, role models. And I'd like to finish this by thanking my very good friend, Shushan Gabrielian, for being here today, and also I'm 100% sure that she's going to be on the stage in a few years. So keep an eye out for her. Thank you so much to everyone.
So our next awardee, also a Virginian, is Rafi Teperja. He's a corporate counsel at Protocol Laboratories Incorporated, which is a Web3 open source research and development lab that builds protocols, tools, and services to improve the internet. Previously, Rafi was an associate at Ropes & Gray LLP, where he was the resident artificial intelligence and blockchain mind, I think firm-wide potentially. And he was also a key player in the facilitation of Ropes & Gray to take on a major pro bono matter to support the Armenian Bar Association. He regularly researches, publishes, sometimes with meaningful exposure, and presents on emerging technology issues and a variety of legal subjects. He's the holder of the Lovinger Prize for Jurimetrics, which is a legal publication that, as those of you who might have been involved with law review, you'll know that it's not peer-reviewed at all. It's, what can you do to impress 2 else? This is actually peer-reviewed, and he got the award for the best piece of scholarship in the year, which is actually a really, really big deal, titled General Data Protection Regulation. Now, of course, we also refer to Rafi as Professor Teperja. One of my colleagues at the George Washington University just approved him to serve as professorial lecturer in law in September. He's on the executive committee. So he's also on the executive committee for the DC Region chapter, a graduate from GW Law, as well as James Madison University Colleges. Rafi Teperja.
Thanks, Dean Gilbert, for such a great introduction. I don't feel like I entirely deserve it. And first off, thank you so much to the Armenian Bar for giving the opportunity to be recognized as esteemed colleagues. I'm definitely probably one of the newest of the bar, at least in terms of being an attorney, so I'm very humbled to be a part of this group. I'd like to thank my mother, the judiciary, and my brother David Mazer for being here, always supporting me, and really appreciate that.
was something that I could say that would be impactful? And I think what it would be as a new attorney would be the value of mentorship has been huge for me. And I don't think it's something that's said enough. I came to the Armenian bar to try to give back to the community that's been so great to me growing up, and in turn found mentors which I have carried with me all this way and will carry forward for the rest of my life. Particularly Lucy and Armin and Armin have been incredible. When I actually met Armin when I was a student at GW, and I saw his name before, so I was like, it's not the I yet, but it kind of sounds. So I went up to him on the first day, and I was like, oh, dude, professor was there, and I was like, I want to introduce myself, and he was like, I know you're. From that moment on, he's been nothing but a great mentor to me, along with the other people I mentioned. But he's saying everyone's good graces and everything here today, but I think he deserves some recognition for being just an incredible mentor and continue to pay forward. This is what I would say. So thank you all so much, and really appreciate it.
So next up, I want to ask you to give a round of applause for fellow 20 under 40 committee member Alan Harushunyan. As he's walking to the stage, Harrison as well. He is an experienced plaintiff attorney who represents individuals and their families in catastrophic personal injury and wrongful death cases. If you have had the misfortune of suffering such an injury, the necessity for justice can be extremely high. There's enormous amounts of stress, requires a significant degree of counseling. And Alan has that in spades. A consummate trial attorney, and I really mean that. He's litigated hundreds of cases. We're lucky to have him on our side. Alan Harushunyan.
Thank you all for that lovely introduction. I'm Alan, everybody. Nice to see familiar faces and new faces. And before I bring up our first recipient, I just want to say a couple words. Otto mentioned earlier the quality of the candidates that we had to review to choose this award, and I was really impressed by the pool that we had this year. It's inspirational to me as a young lawyer myself to see how many great Armenian young lawyers we have in the community. I'm from Los Angeles, but just across the nation. So it's really great to see it. I came to New York a couple of years ago when we had 20 under 40. That was my first experience at the bar outside of California. And I was really inspired and impressed, and I really felt the familial aspect of the Armenian Bar Association then, and I feel it here again in DC, 3 years later. So thank you for hosting us, and it's a great city and all. A great crowd, and it's a great group of people. So just a round of applause for So the next award that we have is Elena Archia. She is an insolvency and restructuring associate in the Dallas office of Capital Hilton LLP. And she is here with some members of the firm, which I think again speaks great volumes for the importance of this award, because it not only rallies Armenians but non-Armenians, and to fly all the way from Texas here, we thank the firm for being here and showing support for not only Elena, but the Armenian Bar Association. I mentioned that we had a great candidate pool. Everybody was super qualified, not only in the schools they went to, the grades they got, but also the work they did. And so one of the things that I looked for that separated candidates was the amount of community work that they did the amount of community involvement with the Bar Association, and also mentoring young law students and lawyers. And I think Elena really excelled in that category as far as volunteer work and mentorship. She's a mentor to young lawyers in the Dallas community, and she's an active participant in the Armenian church. She's been in Texas since 2017, and I think a lot of her application focused on the amount of work that she did in her local community. So without further ado, Elena Armenian.
First of all, thank you for those kind words and such a introduction. It is a pleasure to be in Washington, D.C. this weekend for this extraordinary event, and I would like to be in this room surrounded by such an extraordinary group of individuals. I'm honored, obviously, by this recognition and humbled to be among its past recipients and in 19 other incredible rising stars receiving the award today. Thank you to the person or persons who nominated me for this award, and of course to the selection committee for finding me worthy of receiving it. Thank you also to my law firm Captain for giving me a platform that allows me to do the work that I do and that enables me to make a contribution not only to my clients but to the Dallas community as a whole and the not so large but growing Armenian community in the Dallas Fort Worth metroplex. And especially thank you to Michael Toscano, who is a partner in the Capital Hilton group, who flew here from Dallas to attend this event. Mike, your support as well. I first became a member of the Armenian Bar Association around 2016, and it was through my involvement on the annual meeting planning committee that I first got the opportunity to meet members of the Armenian Bar Association, learn about the work of the Armenian Bar Association does and the impact that it has on an international level. I'm proud to be a member of this organization. And I hope that in light of the growing number of Armenian lawyers in Texas, that we can bring more of the Armenian Bar Association to that state. And I am here publicly volunteering to help in that endeavor in any way that I can. People who I haven't thanked yet, and I'm those are my parents who couldn't be here today. I thank them for instilling in me what it means to be an Armenian. That was not an easy task because I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where there's not a huge Armenian community. So everything I know about being Armenian is from my parents. They taught me to embrace my culture and to be proud of it, and that I am. And to quote Lucy's son, yes, I am. To my family, and it's an extra special day today because it's actually my dad's birthday, so I will publicly wish him a happy birthday. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to my fellow Armenians.
Congratulations.
All right, our next award recipient is Giselle Tavia. Giselle is here all the way from Toronto, Canada, to be here with us in DC. And I met Giselle back, I think it was probably a year before COVID or maybe during COVID.
Why aren't we drinking wine?
As the co-chair of the Young Lawyers
Let's
Committee,
drink wine.
and really took initiative of that committee and ownership of that committee once she came on. One of the things that
Why aren't we
she
drinking
worked on is the emerging practice areas of the
How many
Young Lawyers
cheers we done
Committee.
it?
So while we were all kind of stuck to our homes during COVID, she took initiative in creating a webinar series for young lawyers to discuss really new and emerging practice areas in law, and we had really cool topics ranging from cannabis law to entertainment and stuff like that. So that was one of her big accomplishments on the Young Lawyers Committee. Aside from that, she also, her passion includes mentoring young students in the Toronto area and trying to get young lawyers, Armenian lawyers, involved in the Bar Association. And I think just having personally known Giselle taking over the reins of the Young Lawyers Committee, she's really passionate about the work that she does in engaging students and young lawyers join the profession and really become the best version of themselves. So without further ado,
Where's Sarah? And the one.
Judge Gala, thank you
Oh,
very
he's
much for
here.
your Bar Association for the recognition. I'm humbled and I'm honored to be here amongst amazing recipients, so thank you very much for that. The Arts or the tax on Arts I should say, is what really thrust me to become more involved in the Armenian Bar Association. Lucy Armenian and others just welcomed me with open arms. I was very, well taken care of, and I do want to give out a very big shout out to Lucy Armenian. She has been a glue, in my opinion. She brings people together, she connects people, and I'm very grateful for Lucy's leadership. I also want to thank Alan and Lucian. As Alan mentioned, we started off as co-chairs together, and also back to Hugloyan, who is also recipient, and she is my current co-chair. So thank you very much to these people. Congratulations to the others.
And our next award recipient is Alexandria, all the way out from Los Angeles. And this is a little special for me because I've known Alexandria since our college days back in UC Irvine, and we've
High school,
that's right, yeah. Okay, we'll go back all the way to high school. So I've known him for a really long time, and he's a great person. He's always been really involved in the Armenian Bar Association. I think he is one of the reasons why I also got involved in the Armenian Bar Association. We always talk about how to get young lawyers involved in the bar, and me and Alexandre have always kind of consistently shown up together, and part of the reason why I showed up is because of him. He's out in Pasadena and works for a private firm, but he serves as general counsel to many public entities out in the Los Angeles area. Aside from that, his contribution, I think, to the Armenian Bar Association has been, I think, literally trying to track down every single Armenian law student across the country and creating a database for us to be able to contact those students and get them involved in the bar while they're in law school. While I was on the Young Lawyers Committee, we organized what we call firm calls in the Los Angeles area, where we would get young lawyers to come out and network with other lawyers in the profession. And he was instrumental in also planning those and getting students to come to those events where we would hold resume review sessions or mock interviews, and he also was, I guess, instrumental in doing that. So his passion really has been to get people involved in the community, and I'm really glad and proud that you're finally getting this award.
Funny.
So what I really wanted to be was my Armenian history teacher. I didn't really want to be an attorney. But I had a mentor who told me right? You can always do Armenian things, but just try to focus on a career. So I took them up on that. And so Armenian, all these Armenian initiatives that I undertake, they're kind of like a hobby for me. And luckily with the Armenian Bar Association, they provide the opportunity to pursue that hobby. One of the initiatives I'd like to just highlight, I know we've talked about a lot of different initiatives that the Armenian Bar does. One that I've been working on of late, post-war, has been to coordinate with the other professional organizations out there. So for those who aren't aware, the Armenian Bar Association, the Armenian Engineers and Scientists of America, as well as the Armenian American Medical Society, got together to put on a conference post-war to figure out what initiatives can we undertake for the betterment of Armenia. And in that process, while we were putting that together, different organizations approached us and we said, hey, this is kind of cool, can we participate? And we said, sure. And we started reaching out to all these different organizations. In total, I think we got something like 35 different organizations to work together to put on this conference. Post-conference, we tried to figure out, well, what's next? And so these three organizations, again, three professional organizations, signed an MOU stating that they're going to undertake something called United Armenian Municipal Organization, United Iowa for short, which isn't an organization per se. It's a collective space where different Armenian organizations can come together to coordinate, to speak, to co-sponsor each other's events. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to reach out to me, and thank you again for this opportunity. Our next award recipient is Armenian and all the way out from Los Angeles. She's the current co-chair of the Young Lawyers Committee, and she is the Associate General Counsel for the Brands and Marketing Legal Team at Meta, which we all know used to be Facebook. She joined the YLC while I was the chair with Giselle, and she immediately stood out because of the energy that she brought to the committee and her willingness and passion for engaging young lawyers to join the committee and to join the Bar Association. In looking at the applicants that we got for the award this year, I think Bharti led a special effort to nominate a lot of her friends, her colleagues in the tech area that she works in. And I think that's really important because with respect to tech in the Southern California community or also in Northern California, it's very underrepresented with respect to Armenians. And so she takes a lot of passion and a lot of pride in getting people, Armenians, involved. And I think this recognition is not only important for her, but it's important for the bar and for Armenians in general because through this kind of recognition, big companies like Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Amazon, they're all learning that yes, there are Armenian lawyers out there that are extremely talented and competent to do that work. And I think Bharti deserves a lot of recognition for that because she's done a lot of work in that area. So congratulations, Bharti.
I want to first thank the Armenian Bar Association for this honor. As Sonia alluded to earlier, and as many have touched on before, I think our strength is our community and our connections. And as I look around this room, I am incredibly inspired and humbled. When we come together and put our mindset in, we can move mountains. And most importantly, I'm reminded of the motto of Armenian, which is Paksati Paksati, which translates to life and raise with you. And I'm here today because so many people not only open doors for me, but showed me where the doors were. And I know every one of my co-honorees is literally doing that every day. And I, for one, have cannot wait to see what the future holds for this organization and our community. Thank you.
Our next award recipient is Zetu Simonia, all the way out from Los Angeles. She is a supervising research attorney at the Los Angeles Superior Court and has been the supervising research attorney there since 2018. I had known that we had a couple of events a few years ago, but I had a chance to talk to her outside before today's luncheon. And we had an interesting conversation. She was in Arts Talk 2 months ago, where she was meeting with the judiciary from all levels. And she said we couldn't call it a training session because she kept training judges, but that's really what she was there for. So I think it speaks volumes that her commitment to the Armenian community, just in general, that she was out in Arts Talk just 2 months ago, meeting with the judiciary and instilling their knowledge on them on how to improve their relations.
Earlier? She's
One
sitting
of
right
the things
behind you.
that stood out when Zetu and I were speaking is she said that she loves to solve problems. She's been, like I said, a supervising attorney, and she just recently took over the personal injury department of the Superior Court. And we had an interesting conversation about the challenges that she's facing, and there are certainly big challenges that she's up against, but she's very passionate about fixing those challenges and cleaning up the mess as we were discussing. Zetu is very passionate about children's rights, dependency, and foster children. She spent her time as a research attorney helping out the dependency courts, holding seminars for them, and also reaching out to young lawyers, both in law school and practicing attorneys in both externship programs and mentorship programs. So, Zetu, thank you for your contribution to the Armenian community in Los Angeles. Come on.
Step forward. We have enough. And they're still serving dessert and stuff. In case there's something else going on in the store.
Thank you very much, Ellen, for that introduction, and Barbie, I love what you just said, because I'm very, very honored to be here, and I was thinking when Lucy said, when Mom said, yes, I am, I think as a child, you are told yes, I am, and during your adult years, you figure out what that means. And I think what it really ultimately means is that you begin to care and love for each other. That's all it means when you realize in order for us as Armenians to excel, to get somewhere, we have to support each other. And I can tell you that I'm a testament of that. As someone who didn't have any lawyers in my family, doesn't have any professionals of any kind, who didn't go to college, didn't go to high school, for at least one of my parents, I needed other Armenians and I needed other Armenian role models to really propel and push me and encourage me and give me the confidence that I never had. And I could say that as early as I started Birthright Armenia, and Birthright Armenia was the one organization that showed me really what it means to serve other Armenians. And it started with youth. I was educating young children, and then at the same time I was studying about the infrastructure of civil society within Armenia. And I realized the foundation is education. But then how do you educate kids? How do you motivate kids? And that then allowed me to transition into the foster care. My entire background is in dependency law and trying to understand when we look at the future, when we look at kids' future, when we see why the crime rate is so high, we just look at the family. And the protection of that family unit is so important. And that's what also compelled me to study more about the foster care system in Armenia, or how they were trying to create that, which then ultimately led me into the dependency court. But during all those stages, there was always an Armenian that was helping me.
Professor Garakhanian was the one Armenian professor, now the dean, associate dean at Southwestern, told me you have to come to Southwestern. I had so many other opportunities, so many other places to go, but she said, come here. And the beauty of Southwestern was there's such a high Armenian population. And what's fantastic about that is you realize you are not alone, especially for someone like me, to be thrown in the midst of a lot of others and to feel different. Sometimes you want to be at home because the home gives you the confidence to move forward around others in reality, and to make a mark in the outside world. And then from there, it was just Sinanya who just took me under his wing and said, this is the path that you should take. Stay with the court. At every juncture, I'll go back to him and say, okay, where do I go from here? What should I do? What should my impact be? He would say, stay with the court. And he allowed me to move forward into management. And it made me realize that that is my calling. There was always an Armenian telling me, just pivot this direction, go this direction. And then you slowly begin to realize what your calling is as an Armenian. And that's what actually led me to Alexander Lucy in 2018, where I said, I teach adjunct. I've been teaching academic skills for a while. I create curriculum. Can I be given the opportunity to teach other Armenian students, especially since I teach at Southwestern? I see so many Armenian students coming through, so many who are lost, so many who are confused, so many who are misguided. Can I be given the opportunity to teach through the Bar Association, just to be as a mentor for them? And they gave me that opportunity, and it is from there actually that I was also given the opportunity to be over the externship program at the LA Superior Court, which then gives me access to so many Armenians. Whether it's on the hiring phase, through the law clerk program, or through the externship phase, I get to have a lot of say and a lot of influence on who we're going to select, how we're going to select, how we're going to train them up, because they also gave me the opportunity to be the trainer for all incoming law clerks. So having those opportunities and other judicial officers, in particular Armenian judicial officers for me, whether it's Judge Amirian, Judge Sinanya, Judge Ashfanian, mentoring me and guiding me, that's what I want to do to other Armenians. To have the same impact that others have had on me, to be able to give them that same opportunity. And for me in particular, it just happens to be in the judiciary. I genuinely believe that that happens to be my calling. So when I was given the opportunity to go to APSA, it was a dream, and thank you very, very much, really, to be able to speak to judicial officers at all levels, and to realize how similar we are. That our issues are the same, whether we are in Armenia or in America. And to be able to talk about that, to talk about resolutions. And I also had a chance to speak with the attorneys of the Ombudsman's office, and we were talking about dependency and children's rights. It was the same issues, and I told them it just so happens to be we experienced the problems maybe 50 years before you. That's all it is. But we also realize how human we are. And so to be given that opportunity and that platform to be able to help other Armenians is, for me, a dream come true. And I'm also very grateful that my husband is here today. It's not even 1 year, it will be 1 year next month. And to be given that opportunity to travel the world with him and to have that experience together is, I mean, couldn't ask for anything better. So thank you so much, Lucy.
Alright, at this time I'd like to call up Tali Sahaka from New York to take over the rest of the remaining of the program. Tali, thank you.
Hi everyone. I try not to cry. I was so pleased when you divided the list of who's presenting who that I got luck of the draw to present this first awardee, who I've come to observe over the last 2 years. Alexander Vendrosian, Alex. Even though he's in Island territory in DC, so. For those who don't know Alex, he's an associate in the Washington, D.C. office of Hughes, Hubbard & Reed. His practice focuses on public international law, investment, treaty arbitration, and international commercial arbitration. And he has particular experience assisting in disputes involving former Soviet republics and territorial issues. So, here we go. Since the Artsakh War broke out, Alex's unique skill sets have allowed him to make extremely meaningful contributions to the bar's work and the Armenian cause. Alex, with Levon, who we'll get to later, has been working on representing investors who lost their investments in Artsakh, speaking about these issues, raising awareness, and Alex has been working tirelessly on those projects on a pro bono basis with his firm, where he opened a pro bono matter. Alex has also spoken in panels regarding claims under investment treaties, and he recently participated in a panel at the UN organized by the Armenia's permanent mission to the UN about emerging issues in legal practice, ethics, representation, and international dispute resolution. But it doesn't really stop there with Alex. He's been a regular presence at the international working group meetings of the Armenian bar that were held literally every Friday since the war. He worked for months to draft an individual complaint from Lareta Mirzoyan, a refugee from Adnapur who lost everything after the 2020 war. That complaint was submitted to the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. He presented that case at Azerbaijan's country review this past August on behalf of the bar, something Lucy mentioned. And Alex's presentation was excellent, and for anyone who wants to hear it, it's available on the bar's social media accounts, so you can listen to it. You will be very proud that we have an advocate like him on our side in international forums. Alex has represented parties before different courts, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, the European Court of Human Rights, and of course the UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination. For the past 2 years, Alex was recognized by the Legal 500 in the United States in the field of international arbitration. I would add that Alex, you could tell, really cares about Armenian issues and Artsakh. You see it in the way he follows the news and reacts thoughtfully to everything that happens in Artsakh and Armenia. Somehow, for Alex, what he cares about has converged with what he is good at in his professional field. So I think we're going to see a lot more from him. And I also want to acknowledge Nina, his wife, who's here, because thank you for sharing him with us. So without further ado, Alex.
Wow, thank you so much, Tommy and Lucy. It's quite overwhelming. I'll start by thanking my wife Nina and my brother Daron, who are here, and my parents Rafi and Joy. Joy, whose original name is Yershanik. Who are at home in Toronto for your tireless support. 8 years ago now, when I was entering law school, I applied to 65 different scholarships to try to pay for it, both Armenian and non-Armenian. Obviously, most of them said, get out of town, and didn't give me anything. But one group that did award me some help was the Armenian Bar Association. And I remember in my application there, I said, if there ever comes an opportunity or a need to advocate on behalf of the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh before international tribunals, the path I'm choosing will put me in a good position to do that. So after the war, I reconnected because Lucy had organized a very interesting panel starring Levon, and that's how I reconnected with the bar and got back involved into this work. And I'll talk a bit about the work for the UN Committee on Elimination of Racial Discrimination.
Through the bar's contacts in Armenia and Artsakh, we interviewed many people who were displaced from the areas of Nagorno-Karabakh taken over by Azerbaijan. And in talking to them, part of what we wanted to do is really show, okay, why do you feel scared of going back to where your home is? And to really show that well, it required not just showing the things that Azerbaijan had done to people who tried to go back after, but really doing a wider and deeper analysis of the policy of the family, the single family that has ruled Azerbaijan for 29 years. All of the anti-Armenian states that they have built, and how that's a basis for why ethnic Armenians would not want to go back and live openly in Hadrus under Azerbaijan control. So we submitted this to the UN committee, and these UN human rights committees, they have two bodies. One is they accept individual complaints, and they evaluate that in a quasi-judicial proceeding. The other is they monitor countries every 5 to 10 years, just on a general matter. We really wanted this to be considered as an individual complaint, but the UN told us that they weren't going to consider it for that purpose. They were going to look at it in the country review. And I remember being very disappointed at this. But it ended up working out well because the Armenian Bar Association was invited as a civil society group to present orally at the sessions during the country review. And Lucy gave me the opportunity, the one that I had mentioned 8 years ago, my scholarship application, for which I'm very grateful. And so it was in Geneva. So we woke up 4 a.m. for me, 1 a.m. for her, and presented and answered their questions. And I'm happy to say I think it was a success because in August, at the end of August, the UN committee released this report, this country review on Azerbaijan, the first one since 2016, and they kind of told it like it is, in a very targeted manner. They said that in Azerbaijan there is incitement to hatred against ethnic Armenians. They didn't say we are concerned about allegations of this or reports of this. They said this is what is happening. They recognized Nagorno-Karabakh as an entity, and it was a very positive report. And this type of legal document from an authoritative international body are the types of things that are really necessary to advance the cause of Nagorno-Karabakh's self-determination. So this is how international law is used in conjunction with diplomacy. And I really hope that the Republic of Armenia and Bangladesh, the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, can really make good use out of this document and the others. So. And I'll also say that during the process, I've had the pleasure of working with many other lawyers from inside Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia and the diaspora, and I'm very impressed with, really blown away by the amount of talent we have in our community and if we can use it for the right purpose. And Lucy, I really admire you so much. I don't know how you've done it for the past 2 years, and I consider you a great role model to me. So thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you, Alex. That's very inspiring. So this next person, I have to say I was having trouble where to start to talk about this person. So I thought I would start where I met him first. And even though we are both Canadian, the first time I met Levon Golan was at a mentoring session actually of the Armenian Bar for law students who are interested in litigation. So I do antitrust litigation, but we were in a small conference room. I forget whose office it was in New York, but this young law student from Columbia Law School was asking me about arbitration, something he was interested in. So since then, and I didn't know much about it, but But since then, he pursued that passion, and he's now an associate at Evershed Sutherland, where he contributes to all aspects of international dispute resolution with a focus on investment treaty arbitration, international commercial arbitration, and transnational commercial litigation. So he has clients ranging from sovereign states to private companies in various sectors. He's represented clients before the U.S. federal and state trial and appeals courts and in front of various other organizations like ICSID, the International Chamber of Commerce, and American Arbitration Association, and the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. He also has an LLM from the London School of Economics and Political Science. So he's obviously a very accomplished specialist in his field, but he also activated himself in a very unique way, like many of us actually did when the Artsakh 2020 war broke out. And right from the beginning, Levon became the co-chair of what was then the International Task Force that every Friday morning, every week call group that was meeting every morning. And I should say for the people in Los Angeles, Lucy and Armenian, it was like 8 a.m. in the morning, so special shout out to them. So we met every morning to talk about all kinds of a wide variety of different issues like investor claims, submissions to the UN, responding to false statements that Azerbaijan was making all the time in international forums, organizing conferences. And I'll say this, like everybody knew that Levon works nonstop because, you know, the invitations would come out at 3 a.m. in the morning. So we would all get those invites and we'd be like, when does Levon sleep? So when Azerbaijan's lawyers made false statements to the ICJ in their presentation during the hearing they had on provisional measures, Levon, with others on the team, helped organize a panel in the American Bars at an American Bar Association conference about the ethics, lawyers' ethics when representing state parties. So to take one issue and make it into a broader issue and a broader perspective. It doesn't stop there. He's been helping plan a conference at Southwestern Law School on the responsibility of the media in times of conflicts that will focus on Artsakh. He traveled with our little group to the mid-year meeting in Armenia, where Lucy took us non-stop everywhere. And he followed us there, and when the Minister of Justice, like Lucy said, asked us for the Armenian Bar's help to organize or start an arbitration center in Armenia, Levon stepped up again. And he's been spearheading that effort for the Armenian Bar. He recently joined our Board of Governors, which we're very happy about. And I think he's been also a long-standing member of the Armenian Bar's APMT committee. That is a committee that has proposed reforms to Armenia's laws to encourage and protect investment in Armenia by tech companies and startups. So poise, competence, professionalism, excellence without arrogance, all are characteristics of Levon. We are really happy and lucky to have him as a member of the bar and a member of the board of directors. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but my 2 minutes is probably up, so.
I'm not gonna say step up. They did it on their own. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin. It's really cool that Khalid is the one that got to my introduction because very appropriate because she was very much my introduction to the Armenian Bar Association. As she mentioned, I was a very young law student, very naive. I had heard a couple things, and getting to see a fellow Canadian Armenian rocking sort of her own field, that was inspiring and opened the door for so much more engagement with the Bar Association going forward. Kevin's been a big part of that every step of the way. After graduating law school, Tubman and others in the New York Tri-State chapter of the New Bar Association, they kept encouraging me to take leaps, to try things I hadn't tried before, to speak, to write, to take on projects, and each step of the way, they gave me the confidence to try, and the faith and the trust to actually to handle it, and I'm very grateful to all of you for that. I'm grateful to my parents for teaching me that just as much as culture, art, language, the values of hard work, public service, and dedication to one's craft are core parts of Armenian culture. And grateful to my partner, Christy, for her tireless support through the hardest times, 2021 was particularly, for her humanism, the belief that all of us deserve justice and deserve the struggle for that. And to my mentors at the Armenian Bar for their guidance and their faith every step of the way. I'm really humbled to be to join the other nominees this year. I think they all exemplify the dedication to craft and public service that I think are such core values of us as Armenians and us lovers.
Okay, this next awardee, although I never met him until right before this lunch, one look at his very impressive background and CV makes clear that we're all going to hear a lot about him. So Sipan Parselian is of counsel at Beck Reddit in Houston, so the Dallas contingent of the Armenian Bar. He focuses his practice on commercial litigation and intellectual property disputes. He graduated from Stanford University with interdisciplinary honors in international security studies in law. Sipan was inducted into the National Law Journal Verdicts Hall of Fame for achieving the top jury verdict in Texas in a commercial dispute in 2019. He's been recognized as a Texas rising star in business litigation by super lawyers and ones to watch by best lawyers in commercial litigation and IP litigation for 4 years running. He is a noted speaker and author on patent and trade secret protection, trial strategy, and discovery in complex commercial dispute. It's not only commercial litigation and IP for Sipan, though. He also has a deep dedication and commitment to international human rights cases through his pro bono work, including through the Armenian Bar. He represented amici curiae before the U.S. Supreme Court in one case involving claims of Armenian genocide victims and the other dealing with Holocaust-era recovery of Picasso's acclaimed painting, The Actor. After law school, Sipan served as a law clerk to the presiding judge of the UN International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. He was also appointed by the Department of Defense to serve as a monitor to the 9/11 military commissions at Guantanamo Bay, where he made several visits. Earlier this year, he was appointed as co-chair of the CLE Committee of the Houston Bar Association. And last year, he received the Houston Bar Association's President's Award for his exemplary service as co-chair of the Professionalism Committee. And in his second year as a Houston Bar Association member, he was elected the youngest ever chair of the International Law Section of the HBA. So we're definitely hearing more about him, and I'm very pleased to introduce him.
Howdy, y'all. Elena from Dallas. I'm from Houston, so everyone here is saying Dallas for both of us.
No.
I see. We both Democrat. So I moved to Houston about 6 years ago with my wife, and it was definitely a culture shock coming from LA to Houston. Lots of Texas sayings that I had no idea what people were talking about, the language. One saying that I now use quite a bit myself is all hat, no cattle. So when opposing counsel is in court and they give some argument that has zero evidence behind it, we like to call that all hat, no cattle. One organization that certainly is not all hat, no cattle is Armenian Bar Association. They certainly walk the walk and they do a lot of very important work. So I thank Armenian Bar for this award, and I'm very honored to be among all of the other awardees who I've been very, very impressed by and inspired by meeting you all this weekend. I come from a family of PhDs and engineers, and so I'm the black sheep in my family. And it was only after I married a Harvard-educated pancreatic and colon cancer doctor that they started talking to me at Thanksgiving. So thank you, Armenian Bar, for this confidence boost. And speaking of my wife, Christine, I certainly would also like to thank her. She's not here for me to thank her in person because she's back home in Houston, holding down the fort with our 3.5-year-old son, Diran, our 1.5-year-old daughter, Amaras, and she's also carrying our third baby due next April. So, so I'm definitely glad that there's someone here taking pictures, that I'm actually receiving this award, so she didn't think I just ran away from home. On a slightly more serious note, I was able to go to law school because of the generous support of an organization called the Dolores Zorab Liebman Fellowship. Dolores Zorab Liebman is the daughter of Kripar Zorab, who many of you will know was an Armenian intellectual, a lawyer, a parliamentarian during the Ottoman Empire, who was part of the intellectuals who were rounded up as to kind of kick off what became Armenian genocide. And every day that I'm a lawyer, I have him in mind, and the fact that through his family support that I was able to become a lawyer and apply my skills to the betterment of our community, to this country, and to uphold the rule of law. And it's something that I would run for every day, so I appreciate Armenian Bar for this opportunity. Thank you all. Come on down to Texas, we don't fight, and our rate cards are optional.
Okay, this is our last in-person award, and last but not least, I'm very pleased to present the next award to Zavet Sarkisyan. I met Zavet in person the first time this weekend, but I feel like we've been on Zoom for I don't know how many hours together in the last 2 years. In addition to being one of the only Armenians I know from Utah, which I don't know, does anybody else know any Armenians from Utah? I've also come to know him as a dedicated and poised warrior for the Armenian cause. In the aftermath of the 2020 war, Zavet spearheaded at least 2 groups that I'm aware of. I'm sure Lucy and Armin know more more groups, but there was a U.S. Legal Initiatives Task Force, and he was looking into the ATA and defamation claims, because of course Azerbaijan had published a list of Armenians they claimed were mercenaries, which was verifiably untrue. He also worked on research related to the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, which, if anyone has ever looked at that area, it's very complicated. He participated on many planning meetings related to the symposium, upcoming symposium at Southwestern Law School. When we found a group of Armenian accountants who were looking into terrorism research, Slavin jumped on a call with us to explain the ATA to them. When I reviewed his application, I also found out that he's working on a startup law handbook to assist Armenian-owned early-stage startups effectively navigate the U.S. legal landscape until they can secure funding to hire outside counsel. So that's great work. And he's also a member of the Armenian Bar Association's Programs Committee. But he also has a day job. He graduated from S.J. Quinney College of Law at the University of Utah in 2013 with high honors. And since then, he's worked as an associate for Ballard Spar LLP and now Snell and Wilbur LLP in their complex commercial litigation practice groups. Savin has led numerous negotiations and mediations on behalf of Fortune 500 companies and various other entities, and he's litigated in several state and federal trial and appellate courts. He advises clients regularly on data security and privacy issues, such as developing privacy programs, data breach response plans, and notification issues. I'm sure I could go on more about Zavin's contribution, but from my perspective, he's always been a very present, very engaged, and eager to help member of the bar. And so, Zavin.
Makes sense. So, like, after you're a refugee, just
Well, I don't know if I should invite everyone to Utah. So, I do want to say thank you for this award, very generous and kind award. It's really an honor. And I want to start by thanking my mom that you mentioned, my family and my wife, Sirarpi. They've been really the biggest support, and I think that they were big in making sure that I have the right values and I always keep a perspective on what is really fundamentally most important in life. I also want to thank Lucy and Armin. You both have been a mentor and great leaders, and I really look up to both of you. The work that I've done with the Armenian Bar Association this past few years, I think has been some of the most meaningful work that I've done. And that seems to always be the case. I think it's fun, the litigation, the stuff that I do for others, but really this is the most meaningful and memorable stuff. And I suppose the one message that I want to, leave having this opportunity is that I think we're at a really historic moment, both, as a country here, the world, and I think especially for me as well too. And I don't want to be alarmist. I don't want to do any of that, but I think that everyone who's involved, it's fantastic, and I always have to remind myself to, stay on track and do the projects that I've signed up for with the bar that I'm excited to do. But I think we all have to double our efforts. People who aren't involved, tell them to get involved. I think we're in a really dangerous time for Armenia and for Artsakh. And so I just want to encourage everyone,
get more involved if you know someone who doesn't encourage them to. It's really gonna, there's no lose here. It's they're gonna have the tremendous feeling of having some sort of meaningful role, getting some meaning out of this work, and then also meeting great people. And there just is no loss from this. And for my perspective, it's just been wonderful, the work, the people I've met, and I think that's what I'd say. So thank you so much again for the work.
Well, how are we on time? Are we okay?
So great on time.
How much?
We're on time.
On time. Oh, maybe we have to go over. We just want to take a quick moment to acknowledge and congratulate the 6 honorees who were not able to attend with us today. So that's Monica Ajemian, Elina Avakian, Jesse Kalashian, Arman Kizirian, Grant Petrosian, and Irene Scholl-Tatevosian. Although we're sad that they couldn't join us in person, their contributions to the legal profession, their community are truly exemplary. I'll share. Do we have time for me to share a couple of remarks on them? Yeah.
We do have time.
So I think you should hear a couple of remarks about each of them, because I think we should all know them and we'll undoubtedly hear more about them in the future. So Monica Ajemian works at Microsoft as a principal product manager related to Xbox gaming store policies. She's admitted to practice in Washington and California and is also registered to practice before the United States Patent and Trademark Office. She has a BS in computer science from the University of Southern California and a JD from Pepperdine University. From 2016 to 2020, she worked as in-house counsel for Microsoft's patent portfolio development team, managing patent filings for a variety of products. Before her positions at Microsoft, Monica represented clients from high-tech manufacturing and entertainment industries. Elina Avakian, she's an associate general counsel at Snap Inc. in Los Angeles, where she has worked for more than 6 years. She is immersed in a broad range of commercial transactions across the fields of technology, e-commerce, hardware, advertising, gaming, partnerships, and others. She's contributed to the launch and expansion of a variety of Snap's products under its 3 brands, Snapchat, Bitmoji, and Spectacles. She's also led Snap Women LA, an employee resource group which supports, empowers, and advances women at Snap and in the broader community. And she's founded an annual scholarship for diverse women in STEM. Before Snap, she practiced in Dublin, Ireland, and she graduated from UCLA in 2007 with a BA in political science, and in 2010 with a JD. She contributes to the Armenian bar by mentoring Armenian law students and young attorneys. She's been a panelist on the Armenian bar's emerging areas of the law webinar series. So she's very involved. Jesse Kalashian is a mergers and acquisitions and emerging companies associate in Goodwin Proctor's Los Angeles office, where he represents public and private companies and also private equity funds, venture capital firms on a broad range of transactions. He obtained his BA in history and political economy from University of California, Berkeley, and a JD from the University of Michigan Law School. He participated in an externship at the U.S. mission to the World Trade Organization in Geneva. After law school, Jesse worked at Skadden Arps, where he worked on cross-border and domestic transactions until 2021 when he joined Goodwin Proctor. Jesse completes significant amounts of pro bono work and is also a member of the Armenian Bar Association's Young Lawyers Committee, through which he organizes various community events. Grant Petrosian is an associate, which I'm very sad he's not here. I'm looking forward to presenting. He's an associate in the New York office of Constantine Cannon, where he focuses on antitrust litigation and counseling, commercial litigation in both state and federal courts, as well as being active in the firm's e-discovery practice. Since joining the firm in 2015, Grant has represented clients from various industries, including payments, healthcare, aviation, and retail. He graduated from Brooklyn Law School in 2014 and received an economics degree from Fordham in 2011. He's interned at the Federal Trade Commission and at the Kings County Supreme Court in New York and the Bergen County Superior Court in New Jersey. On the Armenian bar side, Grant has been very involved. He is the secretary of the Armenian Bar Association's Executive Committee, a member of the Board of Governors, chair of the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut chapter. He was one of the people, I think, who came up with the idea for this event with Alin, the 20 Under 40 Award several years ago. And I think he was also one of the founders of the Young Lawyers Community Emerging Areas of Law webinar series. So for those who watched those things and are participating, Grant was an integral part of all of that. He's also a member of the working group on safeguarding Armenian cultural and religious heritage in Nagorno-Karabakh. I'm proud to say he's one of my colleagues at my firm. And on a personal note, I have observed Grant and his dedication to his work and his team spirit. I would have been really happy to give him this award personally, but I will take it with me and give it to him. So the next awardee is Arman Kizirian. He's been a lawyer since 2013, and he founded the Kizirian Law Firm in 2018, where he represents employees and consumers. He's a graduate of UCLA School of Law and UC Berkeley. Arman has experience in all facets of class action and individual litigation. He's represented clients in cases throughout California and state and federal courts. He's an active member of the Armenian Bar Association's United Nations Initiative, where he has authored or co-authored numerous reports on behalf of the Armenian Bar Association, which have been submitted to UN working groups, including the most recent report to the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination regarding arbitrary killings. And the final honoree, who unfortunately couldn't make it, is Irene Sherl-Tatarosian. She is General Counsel at CalArts, a world-renowned higher education art institute. She's an accomplished trial attorney who for 8 years has litigated in trial and appellate courts at the state and federal levels and before various arbitration tribunals. Before joining CalArts, Irene was a senior associate in the Los Angeles office of Nixon Peabody, where she split her practice between labor and employment and complex litigation. In the aftermath of the 2020 onset war, Irene took on the tremendous task of organizing and spearheading a multiple research teams to investigate causes of action under the U.S. law that could be brought against perpetrators of war crimes. Amazing work that I was lucky enough to witness firsthand. So I want to give a round of applause and a big thank you to Monica, Alina, we will get them their awards somehow. I don't know whose suitcase they're going in. And I invite you all to reach out to them and the fellow awardees and congratulate them and thank them.
Thank you, Tali, and thank you, Alan. So now I'd like to invite a fellow member of the Board of Governors and also a founder of the Armenian Bar Association to the stage, Armen Hovhannisyan.
Good job.
Who I was not capable of developing the framework to introduce because his accomplishments are so many and his history is so storied that I really wouldn't know where to begin. So with that, I would just say, welcome.
We carry our names. I carry Adam Gabur's name. Our last name was Gala Luncheon, the black infidel. Our great-grandparents, our great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers, when they came to Ellis Island and when they came to Providence and when they came to Pawtucket, they didn't change that name. They carried that name, both in dishonor and in honor of all the sacrifices that everybody paid for us to be here today. Momentous. Momentous today. Momentous for many reasons. First of all, we've been very lucky and fortunate to receive and welcome a new generation of 20 under 14 under 40, 20 under 40. Momentous because Armenians have always spoken with each other, to each other. Today's panels were different. Adam, Claire, Scott, Amanda, Annie. Finally, the dialogue is opening, not other than our moderators, of course, Sonia and Greg. I think, and gotta say, sometimes, people don't understand Armenian, but certain words should be said in Armenian. So, women Hassan, we arrive to that place of maturity that we feel confident that we can sit with and engage in a dialogue with and learn from those who are going to understand the lingua franca of what motivates the Armenian American. Not the Armenian American lawyer, but the Armenian American Armenians in the diaspora. Momentous because you see a date down there, 1989. I think that probably the vast majority of our 20 under 40 were not even born in 1989. It's about dedication. It's about volunteerism. That's an overused and underperformed word, volunteerism. Volunteerism means the Adam Hamparians of the world, the director of the Armenian National Committee, the Armenians of the Armenian Assembly, and the Laura Producer of the Master of the Concept. When we teach our children what to be, we don't teach them to be doctors and lawyers anymore. It's the Gama Vorpanag. We teach them to aspire to be the Adams of the world and the Roberts of the world and the Bryans of the world. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. I have 4 children. One's a lawyer, one's something else, and one not. Can we do that? But that's why you all are working so hard. You're working so hard and making a living and having stability for you to say, okay, there you go. Sipan talked about Krikor Zorab right here in Washington, D.C. That legacy of Krikor Zorab, the lawyer, was carried on by Vahan Kardashian. The Vahan Kardashian who started the predecessor organization of the Armenian National Committee. A man who came from Western Armenia and by himself tried to get recognition and resolution and help for the Armenian genocide. And what happened to him, like so many of our heroes? He died destitute. He died isolated. And he died sick and alone. If there's one thing that the Bar Association will never leave anybody behind, it's all about carrying people. Momentous because we know, I'm sorry for the long-windedness, but it has to be said that you already know it. Momentous because the last 4 or 5 years of the Armenian existence is like a condensed version of Armenian history. From great, noble origins to the wounds and pain and the efforts to overcome those and the resurrection that we're in right now. Charles Dickens said, the best of times and the worst of times, right? That's what we've lived in the Armenian Bar Association. An age of wisdom, an age of foolishness, an epoch of belief, an epoch also of disbelief or incredulity. And it's a season of light and a season of darkness. The spring of hope and the winter of despair. There's no getting around that winter of despair in which we still live. but we're lifting out of that. Lucy Varpeten has helped us lift out of that. She's put us not on her shoulders, she's brought us into her soul. We thank her for that. The tradition of the Armenian Bar Association, because of COVID, we weren't able to do it, is that at the banquet of the annual meeting, we recognize and honor the outgoing chairperson. So today is not Lucy's day because now she has to wait. We did not get to honor Gerard Kasabian. Gerard Kasabian is the representative of that best of times, of that age of wisdom, of that ethic of belief, of that spring of hope. That's who you are, Gerard. Gerard, we traveled to Artsakh 4 years ago, and he was elected chairperson of the Armenian Bar Association on that holy mount of the ancient capital of the Republic of Artsakh, Sushi. Sushi is not ours today, but it's with the likes of you and the likes of the Armenian Bar Association that another annual meeting of the Armenian Bar Association will take place in Sushi. I'm very sorry for being long in the tooth. There are board members here that I think that should be recognized. Let's go from table to table. Mesut Khudagian, board member of the Armenian Bar.
Just helping.
Alan Gavoud, and our resident, former executive of the Armenian Bar Association. This is stand up. This is our senior and it's almost like he has a redundant first name. His name is Dean Shahina, but he's the Dean. He's our Dean Shahina. From Canton all the way to everywhere, and yesterday there was a man who probably wants to remain anonymous. He was so moved, and he was around in that time of longevity, 1989. And it's bravo, Efe. You guys, Hasak. Thank you, Michael. He gave probably a matching grant, a matching of all the sponsorships. Thank you very much. The tradition is to give our outgoing chairs a illuminated manuscript type painting, which is the genius, the chef of an artist who, despite the fact that she's been stricken with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. She continues on. We've been doing this for 20 years. These are the illuminated manuscripts from the 4th century to the 19th centuries. The peacocks, the birds are very important in our old ancient history, whether they be eagles or storks or cranes, and this is the peacock. And what we do is we do an inscription for our outgoing chair, and this is what was put together for this one. The Armenian Bar Association salutes our prized and admired Commander-in-Chief, Gerard V. Kasabian, for his 2 years of superb and splendid leadership as our chairman of the board, with a kindly style and a friendly smile, all his own and for all to know, mixing the precious metals of all Armenian dynamism with all American optimism. A term of service concentrated in the sacred city of Sushi and completed in his native city of Angels. A tenure of duty defined by the civility, dignity, and vitality with which he has endowed the legal profession, and all of which he has gifted forever to us. One last word. Great leaders are not always good people. When you get a great leader who's a great person, we're the luckiest people to serve under and with him. So,
Can't sit down.
I'm humbled, thank you everyone for being here. I also lost my voice earlier this week, but this is something I want for a long time. Thank you for doing this. Going into other judges' chambers, seeing this on the wall, wow, it's a nice honor. It just feels good. I remember Edwin, one of our past chairs who passed away. Sorry, I'm getting sad, but just wanted to remember him. And, just give me a moment of silence for Edwin's memory, just 15 seconds, right? We have all your thoughts too. So when I just wanted to activate some of our young lawyers in here and tell you the story of how I got involved with this, and if it won't be too long, don't worry. We were in Montreal on one of the Armenian Bar annual meetings, and I wasn't on the board, and I had a lot of complaints about the Armenian Bar. And I was talking to Gala Luncheon about the website and this and that. And he looked at me and goes, dude, we're all volunteers. Step up and do whatever you need to do. I'm thinking, I wasn't really thinking about being on the board of this. No, forget about being the president of the organization. But anyway, these folks elevated me. So I thought I need to perform now. So, okay, website, we started doing that. Start doing events. I had put on events before, but I thought, you know what, let's start really moving and shaking. So we put on events. I'm proud to say I beat the bar sales record of the Beverly Hills Hilton rooftop bar for one of our Armenian Bar Association. We used to rock. Anyway, now these days we're doing Zoom events. I don't like Zoom meetings. I don't get to see and hug you guys. It's such a difference, right? We're tired of that. It's a nice thing for those who can't make it to be present with us, but I will always come in person to these events because they're so special. It's more about seeing everybody smiling, laughing, and it's not about these official events. It's about the time spent at the restaurants together and just really getting to know everybody. Anyway, I won't make it longer. I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Armin. Thank you, Gio. Really, thank you. So now into the conclusion of this wonderful Gala Luncheon. For those of you who are members of the bar, and I will also emphasize, interested in being members of the bar, we will ask you to go to the Statler room, which is the room that we had our events in earlier today for the 2022 General Assembly meeting. Thank you so much for coming.
How many hours?